Abyss, floor 86, it's Ken, and ML Ken. This is another floor that I still see a lot of people asking for advice on how to deal with, but it's actually quite easy once you have an idea of what the boss is capable of. So let's take a look. He's gonna start out the fight as Ken, but when his health reaches 0, he'll activate his ultimate and transform into ML Ken, where the actual fight will begin. The main mechanics of this boss revolve around his 3 passive skills. The most dangerous and one you need to pay the most attention to is Satisfying Counterattack. After every 3 attacks, he will counter-attack the attacker with a guaranteed crit. In combination with this, his next passive, Use of Force, will increase his combat readiness and give him stacking defense increases every time he attacks. His final passive is Power Overload. This is just a simple attack and speed increase at the end of each of his turns. He only has 2 attack skills. The first is a single target attack that provokes and applies a blind debuff, but if he himself has less than 3 debuffs, he'll attack an additional time when using this skill, so keep that in mind. His second attack skill is his ultimate ability, which is an area of effect attack that applies defense break on your team and attack buff on himself. He also has a little mushroom pal that explodes when its ultimate gauge is full, and it will deal damage based on how much health it has remaining. If you kill it, it'll revive with full HP. You want to keep it alive, but as low on health as possible when he's ready to use that ultimate. Alright, now that we know what we're dealing with, let's pack our bag. This fight actually has a very simple cheese strategy that a number of characters can perform. The basics of this strategy are that you want to tank him out with beefy characters, lots of heals, and some AoE damage. The only truly strict consideration you need to make is that the AoE damage dealer can't be too good at spamming AoE, because you don't want it killing the mushroom consistently. Here's what I suggest bringing to use the same strategy as I do. 2 or 3 beefy healers with either cleanses in their kit or artifacts that add cleanses to their kit, such as Wondrous Potion Vial or Doctor's Bag. You don't want to get caught with defense breaks on your squad. Either a single tanky damage dealer who has access to AoE damage, or 2 beefy DPS with one of them having access to AoE damage, depending on how much support you decided to bring from the first step. You can bring extra debuffs to lower his damage output, but this is optional if your team has enough sustain. Defense break is ideal, as it tends to be. Bring Arky, he's a good boy. Short list for the essentials this time, but this should be quite a simple fight. Just to hammer home how hard you can cheese this fight with the proper setup, the run I chose to include in the guide is certainly not an ideal run, and actually has the 4th team member die at the start of the fight, leaving only the 2 healers and a single DPS, but it still succeeds on auto with a few Arkies sprinkled in. That's gonna be it. All that's left now is to show you the run. I only used 3-star characters for this, and I'll include their gear and stats at the end of the video. One thing I'll mention about the gear is that my choice for the DPS slot here is actually deceptively tanky. Carrot has pretty constant access to a large barrier and self-cleanse, so if you opt to use someone who does not have access to that type of passive mitigation, such as Seaside Bologna for example, you want to add additional tankiness to them compared to how my Carrot is geared. Another cool thing to take into account is that a new artifact just got released with the collaboration that makes Carrot an even better character for beginners to bring into these pre-floor 100 Abyss fights. The Severed Horn Wand, combined with her passive, can make Carrot very tanky with very little investment, as not only does her barrier scale off her attack stat, but it gives her access to a powerful damage reduction effect even when she's out of the range of her own damage reduction passive. On a side note, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the next Abyss floor boss releases was just Carrot as we have her now with no alterations made. Alright, enjoy the rest of the run guys. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, and a comment if you have any questions or just want to say hi. Take care everyone.